So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another Zombies Q&A, the series on the channel where I take your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs, and I answer them. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Drop a like, rate it if you want to. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content. But let's get into it. Here we go, and enjoy. So the first question of today is from the random, and you say, "Hey BOA, love your videos. How come the time bomb doesn't affect Leroy?" So very good question. This is something that I have noticed, but I've never really questioned it. When you place the time bomb down in buried, let's say on round 5, and then you go a few rounds up until round 10, you press the time bomb, it takes you back to round 5, everything in the map is affected, including yourself. However, Leroy isn't, or at least he doesn't seem to be. The moment you activate the time bomb and the screen goes weird, if you watch Leroy or Arthur, he slows down for those few seconds, and then when we've gone back in time, he seems to continue from where he left off a few seconds ago. It's almost like he isn't affected. Maybe there is a side effect that we don't know or we don't see. I mean, you would think he is sent back just like we are, but nothing seems to happen to him. He just carries on his life strolling around. That also makes me question, how does the time bomb even work? Where does it come from? Who made it? In a way, it's kind of similar to the Paralyzer, how we don't know its backstory. Does it use element 115? Was it built during the same time as the Pack-a-Punch, when Jebediah Brown built it back in the Old West? Did he make the Paralyzer and the Time Bomb as well? I'm not really too sure. It's a strange one, but it does look like Leroy isn't affected. Maybe he is. We do know previous to Victus travelling to Buried, Leroy had already travelled through time from the 1300s to Resolution 1295. So he had time travelled previously, but then when the time bomb is activated, I don't know, nothing seems to happen to him. The second question of today is from Mech Shadow, and you say, "Wait, so if Richtofen is still controlling the zombies, while somewhat controlling Stuhlinger, why was he still letting them attack the group?" So again, another interesting one. We do have answers to questions that are similar to this. A lot of people always ask me, if Richtofen wanted Victus to help him, then why did he send the zombies after them at the same time? And my answer to that is, it was to motivate them. If Richtofen didn't send the zombies after Victus whilst also needing their help, then they wouldn't listen to what Richtofen was saying. If the transit crew weren't being chased by the undead, they wouldn't need Richtofen's help, so they wouldn't listen to him. Richtofen had to frighten them, so they thought he was their only saviour. But getting back to this question, at the end of Buried, when Richtofen partially takes control of Stuhlinger, if you watch that scene play out, Stuhlinger is fighting against Richtofen, trying to stop him from taking control of his mind. Hence why you'll see when that event is taking place, Stuhlinger's eyes will glow up blue to represent Richtofen in control of him, but occasionally they will flicker in and out to show Samuel fighting back. The reason why Richtofen wanted to control Samuel's body was so that he could do things for himself physically down on Earth. Previous to this, he couldn't because he was inside of the MPD. He could only manipulate other people to do things for him, which wasn't very reliable. So now in Stuhlinger's body, he could do things for himself whilst also maintaining control over the undead. Unfortunately, we don't really get to see what happens after this because the Richtofen ending wasn't canon. This didn't actually happen, so we'll never know what happened after. I would love for Treyarch to show us an alternate ending, but I don't think it's going to come. I've kind of gone off topic here because it makes your mind wonder, but as you were saying, why did Richtofen send the zombies after Victus if he was one of them? He was in control of Stuhlinger, so he was really sending the zombies after himself? It's another question that I can't give you a definitive answer for because, as I said, we don't see what happens after this. The Richtofen ending doesn't continue, so I can only guess. Maybe whatever he was planning on doing next required Victus to still take orders from Richtofen, so sending the zombies after them was still the only option. Also, if the zombies did kill Stuhlinger, would that really affect Richtofen? Yes, he sent Stuhlinger's head, but if he was killed, that wouldn't kill Richtofen. I don't think so anyway. I don't know, I just really would have liked to have seen in some way, maybe through comics or through a cutscene, some little animation, or just Treyarch telling us through ciphers what would have happened if the Richtofen side was actually canon instead of Maxis's. What would have happened next? What was Richtofen planning on doing now that he was in control of Stuhlinger's body? I always thought that was his ultimate goal, to maintain control of the zombies in the ether, but to also have a physical presence on Earth. He got that in his ending, so maybe that's the reason why Treyarch decided not to carry on with it. Richtofen had everything he wanted. He didn't have a goal after that, or maybe he did. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comment section below. What would his next plan have been now that he gained control of Samuel? And the final question from Aaron Molly says, "Hey BOA, what happens to Ultimus after Moon? Love your vids." So when the Ultimus versions of Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey travelled to the moon back on October the 13th, 2025, at the end of the moon Easter egg, after they sent the 3 rockets to Earth and destroyed it, that was the very last time we saw that set of characters. We then moved on to Victus with Nuketown, Transit, Dire and Buried, and then after that we moved to a different dimension with Origins and the Primus crew. So the last time, for the longest time, we saw Ultimus was on Moon. We never found out what happened to them after. For all we knew, they were still trapped on the moon. But then, years later in BO4, Classified comes along, where we get some answers. It turns out on August the 3rd, 1963, Dr. Schuster, along with Hastings and other American scientists, were doing experimentations at Groom Lake on the teleporter, attempting to link it to the teleporter on Griffin Station. One of the people involved in this experiment was Private Hastings. He was going to be the guinea pig, I guess you could say, a test trial to see if you could send a person from Groom Lake to the moon. And so Private Hastings stepped in the Groom Lake teleporter, he was teleported away, but he never returned. What we actually know now is Private Hastings is the astronaut on Moon. The person that follows you around in the spacesuit is Private Hastings. He has been wandering Griffin Station ever since he was teleported there. He never returned back down to Earth. But also, while this test trial, which was Test 11, was going on between the teleporters at Groom Lake and Moon, they accidentally teleported the Ultimus crew from Moon to Griffin Station. They had been teleported back through space and time from the year 2025 to the year 1963. And so if we take a look at one of the punch cards in Classified, you can see it says, "This is Cornelius Purnell. Report 6:39, August 3rd, 1963. Earlier today, while Dr. Schuster was performing test number 11, we had an unexpected arrival through the teleporter. We were unable to verify what year they came from. Our struggle with temporal anomalies during teleportation is well documented, but we are certain of where they came from, the moon. This event alone is baffling enough and is without explanation, but it becomes downright absurd when you take into account that I know 2 of the 4 individuals. Corporal Tank Dempsey of the United States Marine Corps, who I knew personally and was declared KIA after a failed rescue op to recover Peter McCain, and Dr. Edward Richtofen from Group 935, who went missing weeks after we formalised the agreement to initiate Operation Stapler. I didn't recognise the other 2, but they and Corporal Dempsey were in a delusional near catatonic state. Medical evaluation shows they suffered from excessive element 115 exposure, and quoting our medic, "I'm not even sure how they're still alive." As for Dr. Richtofen, initially we believed him DOA, but upon closer examination we discovered his body is very much alive, just 0 brain activity. How it came to be that these 4 men were on the moon, we may never know. However, for the immediate future, we'll be keeping them here at Groom Lake. They are ideal candidates for additional 115 testing. So we can see, after the events of Moon, even though it's before the date that Moon takes place, the Ultimus crew are teleported from the moon in the year 2025 down to Groom Lake in the year 1963, where because of their exposure to element 115, they are in a near catatonic state. They are pretty much almost dead. And so the scientists at Groom Lake capture them, keep them in Hangar 4, and if you actually go to Groom Lake in game and throw a grenade near to the hangar where they are being kept, you can hear Dempsey speaking from within inside.
I can't sleep. I can't think straight. Damn German. Damn little girl. Know what we did? We told them. Don't believe us. They won't listen. We blew it up. Whole damn planet. Blew up the whole thing. She warned us. Got voices in his head. He used us. He used all of us. Fucking sauerkraut. Not finished. Gotta break free. Gotta get out of here. Fucks it all up. We can still fix it. Hoorah, Jugger Girl.
You can clearly tell by what he's saying. He is delusional, his brain isn't working properly, he doesn't really know how he ended up here, but all 4 Ultimus characters are locked inside of the hangar. As we know, after this, as part of the classified ending, Primus arrive where they link up with Ultimus, and they then go off to Alpha Omega and tag their Toten. But just before that, as I read to you in one of the punch cards, Richtofen was pretty much dead. His body was still alive, he just had 0 brain activity. This was because of the events that took place on Moon, when he switched souls with Samantha, because Richtofen no longer had his soul. When he arrived back down to Groom Lake, he was in a very bad state. But after a couple of months of Ultimus being locked up on October the 13th, 1963, zombie Richtofen arrived in the hangar, in which he touched Richtofen's body, transferred him his soul, zombie Richtofen then faded to ash, and this brought Ultimus Richtofen back to life. And it's then not long after in which the classified ending takes place. So yeah, that explains to you exactly what happens to Ultimus after Moon. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and until then, goodbye.